joined here with the one and the only Ron Slay. How are you this morning?
I'm good, people. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I don't know if you heard our chat about Coach Mike Leach
Yeah.
and Hall of Fame. What do you want to give your input on that?
Personally, man, I know as far as the Hall of Fame goes, well, I think maybe on this one you kind of bend the rules. I think he's what 3 wins from having 600% batting to get into the Hall of Fame. I think you kind of make that happen. In this case, Mike Leach was a guy that I started watching probably about 13 or 14 years ago, and mine. I was put on while I was overseas looking for some entertainment, and a friend of mine told me, "Man, you need to watch Mike Leach." And I'm like, "What is it about him?" He was like, "Just watch the press conferences first, and then you'll start watching the game." So he reeled me in with his storytelling, and then to hear former players talk about him, the way he act off the field, and the love that he showed. It was a way to reel me in, and I like quirky like guys. You know what I'm saying? And he's one that fits the mold. But I look at it and see the outpour on social media yesterday, and the day before that, with prayers and everything, knowing that he touched a lot of people. And then being in this media world to hear how the media talks about him, that's saying a lot, man. I'm a guy that's you're judged by your peers. I think that's what holds a lot of who you are. You can find out a lot from peers, not necessarily outside people that never competed against you or whatever, but his peers that speak about him, coaches, players that play for him. That's true character. And Mike Leach, man, we're gonna miss him. I know I'm definitely gonna miss him. I love going to SEC media days, and I would, even if we were recording, I'd tell them, "Hey, man, I'm gonna be right back. I got to go down here and listen to Coach Leach." So I'm always gonna give you something.
Yeah, I was there at SEC Media Days this year, and I have a picture of Mike Leach standing there, and I was too nervous to go up and say anything. He was talking to somebody, and I was like, I can't do it. I fangirled over
Yeah.
him. Nobody else. Mike
Right.
Leach fangirl.
Yeah, the
Just could
pirate was
not do
different.
it. Yeah, definitely different.
You two are just trying to humiliate me today. And
Caleb, you wasn't a big fan, Caleb?
no, I loved Mike Leach. I have very
Okay.
high Hall of Fame standards.
Yeah.
So I have if you have to think about it, they're not in.
I
So,
like it. I like it. I
um,
respect that.
Ron, before I get going asking you a couple of questions, I just wanted to confirm a story that I once heard watching when you were playing at Tennessee 20 years ago. And 20 years later, I want to confirm if this story is true. Were you and John Henderson really roommates for a year in college?
Oh yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all were both from Nashville, right?
Yeah. We grew up together. He was a couple years older than me, but we were right there in the same. I always played up when it comes to AAU and junior pro and things because I was bigger, so I always played up 2 or 3 age groups and was always around John. Man, in high school we were teammates all the way up, and then to only reason we wasn't roommates more earlier is because freshmen had to stay in the dorm, so you
Oh.
couldn't move off until after your sophomore year. Sport was completed. So after my
That had to be the
sophomore
most
year, I moved off.
that had to be the most vocal room between because you guys were the two vocal loudest leaders on the team. I don't think anybody ever challenged that room.
Hey man, let me just say this, man. Man, the it was always fun being at our house. Let me just say that. During the summer, people didn't want to go home because of our house, so
I
it kept it
believe
very
that.
entertaining. Yeah.
So talking a little bit of hoops, Tennessee obviously got a huge win over Maryland Sunday.
Hmm.
I know it was a tale of two halves. They looked a little sluggish in the second half, but I honestly think this says more positive for Tennessee than negative to be able to win a game like that. It was a good team. I don't think they should apologize for holding on to beat Maryland in New York.
Yeah, I don't either. I think you take them how they come, especially non-conference schedule, and you're looking at a team in Maryland that can win in different types of ways and want to muck up the game. You see from their non-conference schedule, they've been playing everybody tough that they run into. But like going down the stretch, I think when you look at an NCAA tournament, when you're in March Madness, it's going to be different ways that you have to go and win games. You may be hot in the first half and then you go cold. Do you have guys that have the confidence, one, to keep on shooting as they did, regardless of missing the shots? Don't be reluctant to shoot the shot because you put them in a bad spot when you get the pump fake and passing and, overpassing. Just shoot the ball and let us go get it off the rim. And you saw guys like Julian Phillips, who is a young freshman, man, and he's growing up right before our eyes, man. He had a bad shooting night and still went and had 10 rebounds. So that's saying a lot. Vescovy fighting through injury to go out there and play. Zakai hitting big shots. Tariq Key hitting a big shot down the stretch. Jamai Meshack taking that next step, being a guy that you can rely on. You don't have to do the offensive, defensive sub. For him, he had a big three-pointer. So guys are growing up, and I think they're confident in knowing that we got to do whatever we got to do to win. And it doesn't have to be one way. It doesn't have to be us shooting, getting hot, and continuing to ride that out throughout the game. It's whatever we got to do in those moments to win the game. I think that's one of the things they were looking at, the big picture before with this group. Now it's more about when you get down to those last 4 minutes, how can we win the game? I think that's what lacked in the Michigan game last year in the tournament. You got down the stretch and you couldn't score, and it was like, man, what are we going to do when we wasn't stopping them? If they could have just kept getting stops in that Michigan game with missing those open shots, it would have been the difference in the ball game, But I think they kind of drained them a little bit. But you saw this in this game against Maryland. That wasn't the case. They found a way to get it done, and that looks good for them going forward.
Yeah, and how are they behind Kansas in the coaches poll? They beat Kansas by 14.
Blue Bloods. That's all I can say, man. The Blue Bloods get the nod first. I think in some cases, man, you look at it and you ask, like, what is it that Bill Self and those guys are doing? Like, why can't they get reevaluated every year? Kentucky the same way, Duke the same way, Carolina, all of them the same way. Like, why do they always get the nod? But talking behind the scenes, and some people, like, in some stretches, man, I mean, in some places, like, they get the tip because they're a money school. Like, you put them on TV, everybody's watching, regardless if they're good or bad. You just got to follow. And so I think that has a little bit to do with it. But hey, who am I?
Yeah. So this week on Saturday, Tennessee has another big game at Arizona. What do you think is key in that game, and what do you think their chances are?
Man, the bigs stand out of foul trouble. The big men in the front court have to be very disciplined, not to go for pump fakes. If someone makes a shot, there's going to be plenty of times you think you can block the shot, just wall it. When I say wall it, just stay parallel with your arms straight up in the air. Do not try to block the shot. Just make it difficult in shooting over you and get the rebound, because, man, Big Ballo, he's a big force. And he's not just a big guy that's running up and down the court, blocking shots, catching lobs and stuff like that. They give him the ball on the block. So guards have to be disciplined as far as digging the ball out after one or two dribbles and being able to recover to their guys, because they got sharpshooters too. Kerr Kisser, I think is his name. I think it's how you say his name, the guard. He's really good at running the show as far as getting from pick and rolls and getting guys in places that they're supposed to be. And the four-man, the lefty, a problem, 20 and 10 walking. When he wake up out of bed, he go get 20 and 10. So you got to, Olivier should have his work cut out for him. He has to come and play. Adu, hopefully he's healthy enough. But the front court, that's who I think this is going to rely on, going into a hostile environment. The history of Arizona. It's a small gym, packed in. It's going to be a hot box, but you got to come with it. So they've done a great job, man, recruiting. I was wondering, like, how did they reload so fast? But their coach did a great job of recruiting overseas, getting those guys to come in and believe and buy in. So it's going to be a task, man. Arizona is really, to me, they're the most complete team in college basketball right now, from top to bottom.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely play inside out, which is
right.
Kind of almost built like an NBA team. So
yeah. And then they got two guys. Like, they'll put the big lefty down on the block too, and once the ball goes inside, kick it back out, reverse it to the other side, and go back inside. So you really don't see that. You see guys playing 4-around-1 or 5 guys on the perimeter and doing screens, and the big man's really not that involved. No. Instead of getting drives for paint touches, they give the ball to the big for paint touches to make you collapse. They got guys that can knock it down. So it's gonna be tough.
So, Ron, I have a question. I have a list of the SEC basketball teams and who's doing what as far as this goes. For people who don't regularly watch basketball, because I think some of, our listeners are mainly football focused, and
Yeah.
that's, that's fine. I want to do a little game, and it's called Players or Posers.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give you probably the top half of the SEC.
Okay.
And I want you to tell me if they're actually going to be a player in the game in March Madness or in the SEC tournament or what have you, or if right now they're just posing.
Okay.
So we'll start with an undefeated team in Mississippi State. They're 9-0. So players or posers?
New coach. Early. Woo. I'm happy. You know what? I'm gonna go players. I'm gonna go player. I like what they're doing. I like how they're coming together. Their coach is a guy, man, that he comes into the league and he has a really good background of getting guys to play together and buying into their system. So he's done that with Mississippi State, and I'm gonna go player. I'm gonna go play on Mississippi State. Questionable player, but a player.
All right. So let's go to a 9-1 team, number 4, Alabama.
Most definitely a player. If they stay healthy throughout, and somehow Nate Oates is able to wrangle the guards, what is it, Sears, the freshman, and Quinterly, if he can get those guys to play with a little less bounce of the ball, and get it reversed a little bit more, man, they got some talent. Clowney and Brandon Miller, man. Brandon Miller is a problem. He's from Nashville. I watched him a lot playing high school. Like, he probably is the next best thing coming out of Nashville next to Ron Mercer. And that's saying a whole lot, So the young man can really play. They're definitely a player.
All right. Let's do number 10 at 9-1, Arkansas.
Serious, so talented. Probably most talented team in the country. Say that reluctantly because I like what Houston has, but they're serious, man. Nick Smith getting incorporated. I want to see how Ricky Council is able to blend with Nick Smith, if he can still get his shots and his looks. Brazil going down was a huge loss for them. Just kind of shorten their bench and their rotation a little bit. And it's nothing like having an athletic big man that can step out and shoot the ball too. So that posed a different feat for teams going to play them. But I like Musselman, man. He somehow keeps getting these young guys, man, and they probably got, well, now Brazil's hurt, probably 4 guys in the top 20, should be in the top 20 in the draft. And that's without question too. So got a good group.
All right. We go 9-1, LSU.
Love that coach, Coach McMahon from Murray State. LSU, I don't know. Do we know anything about the sanctions? If they wasn't gonna come down, I would think that they would have the best, as far as a new coach coming in and shaking things up. I think they would have the best chances of getting into the tournament. I will make them players just because I know his coaching style. He brought a couple of guys from Murray with him that go well into the system. Watched a little bit of them last night, and I like LSU. I liked them before the season, so I'm gonna go out there and say that. I'm gonna say they're a player.
All right, and let's see, 9-1, Mizzou.
Man, so I'm torn a little bit in Mizzou. Is this going to be the old Mizzou where they don't have much? Or let me see, much fanfare and kind of fly under the radar. I like Kobe Brown. Like, I really love his game. He's a guy inside, outside, can carry the team. Does he have any additions with him that can help get them over the hump? Love Coach Dennis. He's a guy. I love anybody coming from Leonard Hamilton, coaching umbrella. So I'm high on them. I'm scared to jump out there and say they're a player and then they start to fumble. But Kobe Brown is a guy, man. I honestly think he can be SEC Player of the Year. Honestly, because he can do it all. So I'm gonna have to go player. Bubble player. Can I do that?
It's fine. It's fine. Let's do number 19, 8-1 Auburn.
I can't go against Bruce because when he gets in a team that is kind of undermanned and doesn't have that big star like he's had in the past, and the Jabari and guys like that, he got two guards that really go get it, Katie Johnson, and I forgot the other guy's name, but they really go play well in a Bruce Pearl-like system where guards get to handle the ball. Janai Broom, in addition, coming from the OVC, he was a guy that could easily go get 19 and 10. I don't know if they figured out that he can score with the ball yet, or they're going to keep using him in pick and rolls and make him roll to the basket. Good defense guy that could protect the basket, but want to see if guys like Flanagan get back healthy. And I think I'm pretty positive he's a guy that's a player. I think Bruce Pearl and my players.
All right, and let's do 7-2 at 13, Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky is a team, man. Listen, I think plenty of talent. You know, I love the young guys. I just want to see them be able to get Chris Livingston more involved. I think he's a glue guy, freshman. They got him coming off the bench sometimes. He's a guy that can do it all on both ends of the floor. I just don't know how you get Reeves and Cason Wallace to both play together. Like I've yet to see them both on the same page. Cason Wallace is a guy we seen can get it going and carry the team, but Reeves believes coming off the bench, he's that guy. So does that mesh? Toppin is a guy that came in with a lot of fanfare early in the season, preseason SEC, all SEC guy. So how do you incorporate all this? Xavier Wheeler, to me, at some point, is taking a step back. And that's crazy to think of, even though with him having more control of the team. And then you got Oscar Tshiebwe, who I just don't – it's not enough balls to me up there in Kentucky right now. So I don't know how you keep the player of the year happy, which he don't need the ball to be happy. It's just how do you not go to him when he's so efficient? You know what I'm saying? You got other guys that need the ball. So they're definitely a player, though. Just talent alone, they get into the tournament. But can they get upset in the first round? Without question.
So last one, and obviously most important, number 6, Tennessee at 9-1. And I think I know what you're going to say, but who, and I do this every time you're on, who on this team impresses you the most or has impressed you the most so far?
Yes, they're most definitely a player. The one that's impressed me the most will be Julian Phillips. Just how fast he's coming along, and how he doesn't let one aspect of the game going wrong dictate the rest of the game for him. If he's not scoring, he doesn't let that dictate if he's going to have an impact as far as defensively, rebounding, whatever it may be. He finds different ways to get involved in the game. So, yeah, he would be the guy. Tyreke Key is the guy that I want it to be, but for some reason he won't shoot enough for me yet. So once he starts to really shoot, I really think that I don't care if he doesn't make it. Just shoot the ball. You know what I mean? You'll get in the rhythm, just shoot it. We need you to shoot it and let those big guys go get it off the rim. So once he falls into that and starts understanding who he is on this team, I think it may shift to Tyreke Key right now, but Julian Phillips so far.
Gotcha.
Ron, it's funny because we've talked about all these different teams. Just doing my exhaustive Wikipedia research, and you must have crossed paths with Matt McMahon a lot because he played high school at Oak Ridge when you were playing high school at Nashville. And then he is a Buzz Peterson. He played for Buzz Peterson. He coached under Buzz Peterson. So I'm guessing you crossed paths with him quite a few times.
Yeah, he's a guy I'm familiar with. You know, I'm familiar with him. I know the competitive nature that he has, man. He wants to win at everything, and he does it the right way. So he's a grit grind type of guy. Always known him for that, and I'm interested to see what he can do in LSU because he was able to carry that torch for Murray for quite a while as far as winning. And then it doesn't hurt to also be able to call up John Morant and say, hey, man, we need to try to get this recruit, man. We got him coming on a visit. So I think that helps, especially with this younger generation. So, yeah, man, he's a good dude, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Ja, I just wanted to go to a former Vol real quick. Just full disclosure, I'm from Memphis, hardcore Grizzlies fans, my favorite professional sports team. It seems like Kennedy Chandler is really starting to see a good bit of action from Memphis, and I thought he would because Ja does deal with injuries a
Yep.
good bit. How far do you think he could go? Kennedy Chandler could go this year as a rookie.
Man, I think he go really far. I think when he got drafted there, I think the thing was like, what do they do with all the guards? What all this guard play that they got? And then what was it? Tyus just had re-upped and signed a big contract, so it was like, where does Kennedy fit in? But with any opportunity, Kennedy's gonna make the most of it. He's just a natural, instinctive guy when he gets on the court, as far as a knack for scoring, knowing when and how to get to the bucket. And he has a lot more control of pace with his body now, coming downhill. So I think, man, you just got to find an opportunity to get on the floor. I think it's good right now, him getting experience with Ja being out. That's going to help because when Ja come back, I could easily see all three of them playing at some point. Because another thing, like you said, with the injuries, there's going to be times Dylan Brooks is going to be out. What's my man, the shooter that's out right now that's injured? His backcourt mate, Desmond Bain. He's another guy that can be out. So if you can knock down that 3-pointer and keep the floor spread, that could be a problem, man. With the floor space like that coming down the stretch, if they were denying Ja and he was able to get the ball, or Tyus was able to get the ball, they're very unselfish. So they're going to be good. Memphis always deals with a lot of injuries. I think that's their fall guy every time. Like that's why they can't get over the hump sometimes because of injury. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So getting back to college basketball a little bit, Amanda was just reeling off the teams, and it reminded me of your senior year at Tennessee. Might have been the last time the SEC was this loaded. Is the SEC deeper now, or your senior year at Tennessee? I remember how it was.
Yeah, I think maybe my year might have been a little bit more loaded because you still had the bottom feeder teams who are bottom feeders right now. It's Vandy. They still had Matt Freese running around, and they had Derek Byers getting ready to come in. Like they still had talent at Vandy. South Carolina still had a little bit more talent. Still had guys ready to go. Like they were going to be dangerous. You had to run into them. Ole Miss was dangerous. With guys like Aaron Harper, all those guys, Justin Reed, and guys like that. So they had problems. So I think it was a little bit deeper, top to bottom, but the top talent is so heavy, kind of outweighs it a little bit. I don't think we were this heavy at the top. Kentucky definitely had a good team. We had a solid team, and we were middle of the pack in a sense, outside of where talent level was. You know what I'm saying? I kind of helped raise the bar for it. But other than that, still had Arkansas ready to go. So I'd say my time, but the top teams, the top 2 or 3 teams, excuse me, top 2 or 3 teams in the SEC have way more talent than we did at our time on one team.
And Ron, we have a question from the message board.
All
Smoky
right.
Mountain Red says, "How cool/fun was the atmosphere at the Army Navy game?"
Man, amazing! Like this is an experience, man, that everybody should go see. And you got to get there early. Like you got to go be there to take it all in, not just on game day, but the Friday before when they're doing the radio roll and everything. They had it at the Reading Terminal, which was across from the hotel. Famous train terminal there that they revamped, and they had the radio row in there, and you're able to talk to lieutenants and man, so many different people. And I think to be able to take it all in, you kind of got to go 2 years in a row because you got to be able to take it in spots. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then when you get to game day, there's so much stuff set up out front before you get to the game. I don't think they open the gates till like 11 or 12, and we were there at 8:45 just going through different virtual tours set up. They had the tanks out that you could see, the new tanks that they haven't even been released. It was bazookas that you could hold. It was all kind of weird stuff going on, man. And I loved every bit of it. And then you get to the game and you sit in the flyover. That flyover is totally different than any other flyover you'll see at any other college game or pro game or anything. Like you got the Apaches going over. You got the jets flying over when Navy comes out. Then they had people being parachuting in, and it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. They had 2 people parachuting in at the same time, and they were holding in free falling all the way down to they were about 40 feet from the ground, and then they released from each other, and then like came down and landed perfectly. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Like it gave me chills watching it. And then you run into, I saw a SEAL member with a Medal of Honor, Freedom, Medal of Free, what is it? Freedom, Medal of Freedom, something. The blue thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was really cool. And I was just, man, sitting there imagining like, he had to be like 70, 75 years old, and just thinking he had like 3 SEAL team patches on his jacket, and just thinking everything that he's seen and everything that he's done. And like he's standing right here before me, like he got stuff that he couldn't even think about talking about. You know what I mean? And here we are just sitting here watching the game, and it's just like, wow, and to see them kids, man, like they're 18, 19 years old, like they really gonna be fighting for our freedom. And I mean, it's just amazing, man, just to take it all in. I'm gonna be real, like just see chief of what was it, chief of the justice or something. So I'm gonna get all the names wrong, but whatever. He was real special. He had 15 Secret Service people around him. Ooh. And you can't even get close to him. And as soon as he saw the SEAL team member, he left the Secret Service, went straight over to him. Like that was amazing to me to see. So it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. It's an experience that everybody should go and see if they can, if they have an opportunity to go and see it. And the stadium was packed, stood up the entire time, like it was everything and more.
It's awesome.
Ron, before we let you go, we got I got one more. I'm gonna let you jump in on another debate Amanda and I have had this week. And feel free to split the baby if you want to, because I think we kind of did. But I don't have problem. I don't have, you saw the news that Cedric Tillman isn't going to play in the bowl game. Yeah. And I think it makes sense. Had the ankle injury, he should focus on himself in the draft. And I don't think it helps Tennessee if he does play, quite honestly, because he's beat up. I don't have a problem with players opting out of bowl games if they're going to the draft, if it's not a meaningful bowl game. I think it helps both sides. I think it helps the player to focus on his future. And I also think it helps the school because they can start seeing what they have behind the player.
Yeah. You can't just go ahead and give him all your evidence. That's not fair. Let me sway you really quick, Ron, and let me tell you why I think all of my good points. Not fair.
My thing is with that, man. I feel I'm kind of torn between it. Selfishly, as a fan, I want to see everybody go out there and compete. Because if I'm gonna spend my money to go to the game, like I want to see a product on the field that you're not. This isn't an exhibition or a spring game when you're trying guys out. Like me as a fan, I want us to go out there and win and compete, like at a very high level. On the backside of that, when you're getting ready and you're fighting through nagging injuries, and you got the combine, which so much is put onto the combine for football, and you don't have a lot of time to prepare for it. I think it's okay to get healthy as possible, to go out there where you can test, because a stress fracture or a high ankle sprain can kind of really set you back into testing and going there, because it'll be different if they went to the combine and they were able to play 11 on 11, and you can see the true grit, the competitiveness when it comes out when I'm playing 11 on 11. And then football, you don't get to see that. You don't get to see that. It's all about the testing, how you move, how you turn, everything. It's like a meat market. I'm speaking from the NBA combine. So I can't blame them for sitting out, especially guys like Jalen Hyde. Like, you won the Biletnikoff Award. Like what else can you do? You can go out there and have 300 yards and you can't help yourself in the draft. You know what I'm saying? You can only go out there and hurt yourself with an injury or whatever. And I also think it gives guys like Ramel Keaton time to show, what he can do. There's another evaluation period for him. Squirrel White, Brew McCoy, like all these guys. If Tillman and Hyde and those guys get to sit out, then it gives them a bigger stage coming in and finally getting some real time on a bigger stage where everybody's watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody on the West Coast probably be tuned into the games, where you don't get that opportunity during season, where scouts have to go to other places and have attention other ways. So I'm kind of torn in between, but I understand both parties though.
You know what the player needs? All these players that are opting out or thinking of opting out, they just really need financial guidance from Guardian Investments. And that's what you can get at Guardian Investments.
I love
a financial strategy that suits your needs. They're all about you at Guardian Investments. Thank you, Ron, for being here with us this morning. I'm
No
sure
doubt.
Dave is sad that he missed you, but he's
Yeah.
on vacation, and so I'm not too worried about him.
No, he's having a good time. I'm sure he is. He has his feet in the
Yes.
sand or something.
All right.
I appreciate y'all.